Perfect. All right. Thank you guys all for joining us this morning. I am working on a little different setup. I don't have my normal 2 monitors. I'm only working from 1, so I probably won't be able to see much of what's on the screen while I'm reviewing our desert housing report today. That just hit my inbox this morning at 10, so we're going to review it together, all together for the first time, since I haven't looked at it more than just getting it open on my computer. And so we're going to go over that, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the farming activities that you guys have been doing, and we'll cut you loose for the day. Before we get started, Val, did you have anything you wanted to share with us on the title side?
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you. I know we've been meeting with you guys one-on-one. We appreciate it. We're here for you. We're excited to see, where things take you. Always know that you can call us, email us, text us at any time. And then, yeah, keep them coming.
Yep.
So
absolutely. I know a lot of people have been getting together with you guys to revamp their farming. And as a matter of fact, from the farming event we had last week, I learned that a few people really didn't even understand why they would want to farm or thought they wouldn't want to farm, and now are going to start doing some of those activities. So I think we're going to do more education on that piece. I'm looking at taking that up to the high desert and possibly doing an event in Palm Springs as well. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for getting those appointments. I know you're on it. Every time I send somebody over to you, I see you copy me to let me know when the meetings are so that I can pop in if I'm able to. And we're getting a lot accomplished there, getting a lot of stuff ready and ramped up for that, for the rest of this year. So thank you guys so much for that.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, I think that's it. So let's go ahead without further ado. Let's get started. And I'm going to share the desert housing report with you. Again, once I do this, I really don't see anything else. So if you guys have questions, unmute yourself and say something, because if you drop it in the chat, I might not see it. So we'll go ahead and get started with our January desert housing report. Again, I haven't read this yet, so we're all looking at it together for the first time here. You know, I love the summary, but I'm going to skip past this because I actually want to go to some of the slides that are going to show us something I can't see with your faces over it. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Sorry, one more thing I can't see over. Okay, perfect. All right, so it looks like the median price of a detached home in the Coachella Valley rose last month by 10,000 and is currently $650. All right, that took me a second to take that in. The prices went up last month. That's actually what this says. Okay, which is 5.7% year over year. This monthly increase is somewhat expected since prices typically begin their seasonal rise. That is true. And the price is now 8.5 below the peak of 8.5% below the peak of 710 6 months ago. So that's interesting. It is true that normally this time of year, when we got new listings coming on the market, prices start to go up a little bit, prices will rise. And so it'll be interesting to see what all of those close numbers look like, but that is a good sign for all of us. Very exciting. And for attached homes, those prices, this is kind of what we expect in times like this. It was unchanged from last month. Actually, I'm sorry. I thought they were going to tell us it went down, but that one held steady. So very interesting. I was going to say that in past times when single family homes become more attainable, sometimes we'll see a little bit of a stagger in condos. They'll hold off for a second, or there'll be a stalemate where there won't be any move. And actually that's exactly what happened here. So as the chart clearly shows, the price is back to the long-term growth rate of 4.5%, which is a healthy market that we're returning back to that homeostasis that we're kind of looking for in the market. So current price is 10.4% below its peak level in May, but is still up year over year. So that's all very strong, even for the attached market. Price of the average size home in the Coachella Valley. You guys know I love this chart. I like looking at the average price per square foot. And also looking at the 12-month change year over year. We're starting to see this balance out a little bit. I think some of these numbers were a little bit elevated for like Rancho Mirage and Bermuda Dunes, but I think we're seeing all of this stuff even off just a touch. Let's see what this says. 2 tables display the price, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, latest price is then compared, what does it say? 5 cities continue to have double-digit price gains for their average size homes, with only Palm Desert having a negative year over year gain. So, and you can see that here, the 1.3%. So everybody is still looking at almost double digit price gains in all of those cities. Let's look at detached home sales 3-month average. We like this 3 months average to show us kind of what's happening in the short term. And the next slide we're going to look at is going to be year over year. So as we said last month, it's distressing that home sales continue to decline. The 3-month average of sales in January, it was down 413 units, which is 52% less than last year. And again, I want you guys all to take that in, 52% less homes are selling this year versus last year over the same 3-month period. Before the pandemic, January sales averaged about 700 units a month. So sales are running now about 41% below average. And that's, again, the number of homes, not necessarily the price of homes. We're entering the time of year, however, when sales usually stop declining and begin to rise. And so hopefully we're going to watch that pattern. But that's the thing we want to look for right now, especially with what's going on in the economy. We want to look for anything that's outside of the norm. So if we normally start to see prices rise during this time of year, we want to see prices rise. If we don't, then we know something different is happening. We know that there may be a challenge coming. So those are all the things you want to kind of look for. And then we've got the average, the detached and attached total sales for the 12-month average, which doesn't just show us quarterly. Now this is going to show us year over year. And that is 32% below last year. So the shorter term that we're looking at of 52% below last year for the 3-month period is a little more dramatic than the year over year, which means that this quarter we're heading in not necessarily a great direction. We want to just continue to watch that though. Let's see if there's anything else here. Below, this is a 32% below last year, the 18th-month consecutive decline. Long-term sales are now running below pre-pandemic averages by about 15%. And that's really the thing that we keep talking about when you guys are comparing your business to previous years. It's really hard to use 21 and 20 as a litmus test. So our suggestion is that you look back at 2018 and 2019. And if you weren't in the business in 2018 or 2019, or let's say it was your very first year and it wasn't real solid for you, you can always check in with me and I can give you some average numbers that are going to help you to kind of figure out where you should be and where based on what sales look like back then. But then the one thing you do also have to account before we move on from this slide, the one thing you also do have to account is the increase in prices. So even though you were doing a certain volume, you want to look at how the increase in your area that you work, how that may affect the number of transactions that you need to close to do the same amount of business. Home sales by city. You guys know I love this one, especially when you're going out on listing appointments and sellers want to know, how quickly their home is going to sell. This is great to show how many homes sold last year and how many homes are selling or homes are selling now. This is a 3-month average sales of homes by city. And so this graph, we basically has every city shows considerably lower sales compared to a year ago. And the largest declines, it looks like, are in La Quinta and Indio, and they're down 57% from last year, followed by Rancho Mirage. So if you're going on listing appointments in any of these cities, especially La Quinta, Indio, and Rancho Mirage, these would be really helpful graphs to take with you to show how aggressively you need to be priced in order to make sure that that property is going to sell in the time frame that they need to sell it in, if that makes sense. Let's see. This is our home sales by price range. And again, I love this one. Same thing. You can take this on any listing appointment and it will show, depending on where they want to price the home, you can kind of see where sales are in the last 3 months versus the same time frame last year, and what that looks like for how homes need to be priced. And again, when you're sitting there talking with your client and you're going over this, ask them, what does this say to you? What does this graph tell you? And to me, it says that we need to be priced really well in order to make sure that our home is going to sell. But even with the higher price brackets, which initially resisted the sales decline, now those are showing considerably lower sales. So if you're going on a listing appointment over $1 million, and I'll be candid, I don't really like this part of the graph, the over $1 million. I think it includes way too many properties. You can see the large number that we're going over a year ago. For this part, if you're over $1 million, I would almost take those numbers and break them down a little bit more. And if you wanted help doing that, I would suggest you make an appointment with me and I could sit and help you with that, especially that over $1 million range. I just think it's too broad. We have properties that are priced too high that you probably need to pull some of those out so it doesn't skew your numbers. And the last part on here says, for example, sales of $1 million homes are now down 67%, while homes priced from 900 to $1 million are down 74%. Again, that over $1 million, I think, is just a little skewed because you get giant sized homes in there and giant priced homes, mega homes, that we wouldn't normally include. So it's a good idea sometimes to remove those so you don't get skewed. Our Valley housing inventory, this is the number you guys know I always really like to look at, is to kind of figure out where we're at and how healthy our market is. On February 1st, Valley inventory stood at 2,025 units. And again, we keep saying that they're expecting us to get to 2,500 by February, March. And it is above 1,429 units, which is what we had last year. And so we're doing significantly better when it comes to inventory. You guys have heard too from our lenders that interest rates have eked down again, and we heard from Rick and Sean that they were able to put some people in 5s and 5 1/4s, or I want to say 5 1/4 was what they were saying last week. And so we're going to see more buyers coming out, and now's the time. There's more for them to choose from, so it's all around a good thing. Let's see. The months of sales ratio. How many months of sales do we have? We are now at 3.1. That is the highest ratio since the summer of 2020. Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful number, and I think that's a pretty powerful stat when you look at that. It's been a really long time since we've had this much inventory on the market, and that is just all in all good for buyers that are out there. So if anybody that you've talked to about buying a home in the last 2 or 3 years, if you haven't closed them on something and they've gone out of the market or decided to do something else, anybody you put into a rental, I would be reaching out to them and having these conversations with them to get them back in front of Sean, and so that they can get qualified and figure out what needs to happen in order to get them into a house, because this is the time. If you're going to do it, this is it. Months of sales by price range. So let's see this. Okay, so the blue bars on this chart are our current ratios, and the orange bars are for last year. Just like the city ratios in every price bracket continue to far exceed year ago levels. So again, this just shows us where we're at. This is really good for buyers, but it also shows your sellers you have so much more competition than you had last year. And so where do we want to put our property? Where do we need to strategically place it? I'm going to suggest you need to be in the bottom 25% of the price range for the neighborhood in order to have your home be the next one that goes. So again, that strategy is going to be really important for sellers moving forward. And I know we're having lots more conversation about that. Josh just mentioned it. If your listings aren't selling, come talk to him about what else to do to market them. And that's one thing that you want to look for when you've got sellers that are really antsy about making sure that it's being exposed. Your best bet is to make sure every week you have some sort of little tweak or change you can do to show them that you're still keeping that property active on the market. But really, we all know that 75% of marketing is pricing. And so, and I think you could say it might be even a little more of that in certain markets. So I think that's the most important piece. And I think this is a really strong graph that shows you how important that is. Let's see, months of sales by city. And again, this is another, I think this is a good backup to this piece. This one is by price range. And then obviously this one is by city, and it shows you the months of sales in each city. So you could take this on any listing appointment with you, and it would work for any one of our cities in the Coachella Valley. And then you also have your days on market. This one, again, is always important for your sellers. So when your sellers are coming at you after 30 days on the market and saying, hey, why hasn't it sold yet? You can say, the average or the median number of days on the market for any property in the Coachella Valley is 41. More importantly, though, you need to know the number for your neighborhood and the neighborhood where this property is, and then you can share that with them as well. And it's now 12 days more than it was last year. So for most sellers, they're staying on the market almost 2 weeks more than they were last year this time. Again, it's an important conversation as you're getting sellers prepared to go on the market. And again, we've been saying this for a while, that we've seen the low in this metric, and we believe that this is going to be back to 50 or 60 days relatively soon. So when you're having those conversations with sellers about when they need to be, where they need to be, if it's in 60 or 90 days, that house needs to be on the market now so that we can get that thing sold and get them to where they need to go. Let's see, days in market, detached homes and attached homes. Let's see what this says. The city of Palm Springs has the lowest median selling time for detached homes at 28 days, followed by Bermuda Dunes at 34. And in the attached market, Desert Hot Springs has the shortest median selling time of 24 days. That actually kind of surprised me. because they just don't have very much, but they do go quickly when they come up. So that's interesting. Again, these graphs for any city that you're going to, these can really be helpful to sort of tell the story about what's happening in the market. The percent of homes selling over list price. This is another really important one for your sellers. And again, I'm going to suggest that you pull quite a few of these for your listing appointments where we're really having challenges talking price, or even for your sellers each week, you can kind of send them one of these slides and sort of show them some more numbers that go along with some of the tweaks and changes you've made. But this chart is going to show the percentage of Valley homes that sold above list price, and currently only 13.5% of sales occurred above list price compared to 42.6 a year ago. And so that can be some sobering news. We think the percent is gradually returning to its historic norm of around 10%, and it looks like we might almost be back there. So it looks like we may have bottomed out, come close to bottoming out on this. But that's, again, another important conversation and another really great piece to show your sellers as you're getting ready to list. Let's see, discount price. Yeah, where are we at with that? We use average. Okay, so every city in the region now has an average selling discount for detached homes, which range from about 0.1% for Coachella to 4.2% for Indian Wells, and attached homes range from discounts of 2% for Bermuda Dunes to 7% for Indio. And that actually just means that based on where homes are listed versus where they're selling, what does that look like? And I take that back. That's not what that number means. The discount price is discount premium for both attached and detached homes. We use this as an average value instead of the median because it's a better metric during times when homes are selling. Every region. Sorry, I just confused myself. That's not what this is. This is talking about, no, this is talking about the discount from the list to the average sale price. Sorry, I'm going to skip past that. We'll come back to that later. Explanation and description. We got through that. So it looks like we got through the whole thing. I'm going to bounce back up here to the summary. Sorry. And I know this was a little rough today, but guys, I didn't get a chance to review this because it hit my inbox like an hour before our meeting. But let's just go look at the summary real quick. So the median price rose last month by 10,000. It's currently 650,000, which is up 5% over last year. For sales, the sales are continuing to decline. That to me just says that you guys need to be out there, going out there, getting listings, talking to your buyers and drumming up more business. I do know that we have, over the last week with the drop in interest rates, I have already heard that you guys are getting tons of buyer calls and there's tons of buyers out there looking. So this is your opportunity to go out there and get your unfair share. Our inventory is up. We're looking healthier at days on market. Everything is coming back closer to our averages. I'm going to stop sharing now. We'll just have a little conversation about it. But really, again, what this is all telling us, we've talked about this for a while now, is that we've been in a very unhealthy market. It was a fast market. It was a slick market. I think it was like, layered with oil, and we were all just kind of sliding down a grease slide for a little while. But now things are starting to come back to that place where we're back in our norms of our ranges, back into those percentages that are back to where they should be. Inventory's back up. You can find a buyer and you can go out and find them a house. You can talk to a seller, their house can go on the market and it'll sell. We aren't in any one of those distressed places. So it's all good news. As far as the economy goes, I would love to hear what you guys are thinking, because I think some of the things I'm hearing are a little confusing. We have an unemployment rate that is really low and not what we're expecting to go into the recession that people were saying that we might slide into. And so this is one of those times when I'm kind of just sitting back watching, because all the indicators that show that we're going into recession are there, but some of the key ones that you would normally expect to see aren't. And so I don't quite know what's going to happen. There's been a time in my career where even though I saw all the signs on the wall and a few things weren't there, I predicted it was still going to happen and it didn't. And so I think with my experience, the little bit of extra life experience I'm coming through this go around, I feel like I'm going to sit back a little bit and just continue to watch things. And that's what you guys should be doing as we watch numbers and listen to what's happening in the economy. I don't like to encourage anyone to watch the news, but I do suggest everybody pop in to listen to a little bit about what's happening with the economy every day. And with some of not just our local markets, but also with international markets, and just pay attention to what's happening. I think all these numbers and stats that we go through and look at, some of it can be a little tedious and feel like it's the same stuff every month because they're just little tweaks and changes that are happening monthly. But when you look year over year and you see that 13% of homes are selling over ask as opposed to 42 last year, that's a big jump, right? And so it can explain a lot to our clients when they don't understand why things aren't the way we might even expect them to be. It can really go a long way as you're helping to show them and sort of lay out for them why things are the way they are. And it really helps to gain that trust that you're looking to get with the clients. So I feel like I just talked a whole bunch, so I'd like to stop for a second. If anybody wants to pop in and say anything about what we talked about, I'm happy to pull a slide back up if we have questions on it. Josh, I see you raising your hand. Go ahead and say what you want to say.
So this week I wrote an offer on a property and there were already 5 offers on it and it was on the market for 2 days here in Palm Springs. So there's weird pockets that this is happening. And also in La Quinta Cove, I was trying to write an offer on a property there and the agent told me, don't even bother. She goes, I have 7 offers.
Yep.
Really?
I went, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yep.
Like, so there's these weird little pockets where we are seeing that it's going into multiple offers. The market is back, but we're like, Stephanie and I have talked about this multiple times. We're the pre-COVID pricing, which was already 15 to 20% more than you would have priced the house. So you still have that cushion piece in there.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to make those offers. Don't be afraid to go in at ask or just a little below. Have the conversation with the agent first before you write the offer to find out, like, just get the feel. See where you're supposed to come in at, and you will 100% get the property. I've won on terms before, as Stephanie has as well. We've won on terms. If you don't win on price, you win on terms. So there's always an opportunity there to beat out. I don't see us going, and I'm sure like that the graphs that we just looked at would agree with this. I don't see us going back to where like you have to write the offer $100,000 over asking in order to get the property at all. I don't see us going back to that, but I do see us going back to what we were pre-COVID as far as like writing offers and knowing that you need to be competitive and either win at pricing, terms. It's so weird. Sometimes if you include like the buyer will pay for the home warranty, you'll get the house. It's the weirdest thing. And I'm like, it's $1,000.
You know what?
No sense.
That's no joke, because honestly, I have put 4 or 5 offers in front of a client and they're like, "Oh, this one doesn't make us pay for the home warranty." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?
We'll pay for the pest inspection. We'll pay for the home warranty. We'll pay for the title." Like,
right.
I mean, just like those like little ancillary, like nickel and dime things is like a way that you can win. So it's terms or price. And if you need any help with anything, I mean, you've got all of us here to help you.
And I will say this, there's not very many times that I suggest that we throw commission in on a deal. Very, very seldom will I recommend to you that you do it. If you come to me and say you want to, I might say it's okay, but very seldom am I going to recommend for you to do it unless you did something wrong. However, I have a personal policy that I will always participate in a home warranty. And that is just simply because it is a buffer between me and the buyer and the seller and everybody else. And if they can utilize that first before coming and suing somebody or coming back at me for the whole amount, I will pay for a part of a home warranty every single time. I will, and it will also be if no one else will participate, and I don't even care if it's not my client. If no one else will participate, I have been known to pay for the entire thing out of my side of the commission, simply as a buffer. But normally, if I'm representing the seller, I can get my seller to participate in it.
And Benjamin and I always throw in on request for repairs because guess what? You look like a hero and you make their agent look like a jerk.
Yeah, it just depends on what it is. Like, again, I'm not going to be the one to tell you guys to give your commission away when you didn't do anything wrong. But sometimes there are times where it is part of the leverage that we have. And if I can do something to separate myself from a lawsuit, I'll do it every time. All right. Anything else? Does anybody else have any comments or thoughts on what we went over? Again, I know I blazed through some of it, but I feel like it's all good signs. Like, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the inventory being up and what everything looks like. So let's just real quick, you know what, Craig, I recorded the meeting. So after it's over, I'll upload it to YouTube and I'll make sure I send it out to everybody. I think I forgot to send the last one out, so I'll include that one too. But I wanted to kind of just go over real briefly the farming clinic that we did last week. I realized as we did the farming clinic that some of the agents that were there didn't actually even understand why they would do farming, or actually thought to themselves they never would do farming, and are now starting to consider it. And again, we saw number of transaction count is down, and how many transactions are happening is not as high as it was last year. And so we're all out there trying to figure out what we can do to get our unfair share. And that's one thing where we have noticed that farming has really, it's played a part for a lot of our agents for a long time, but we're really noticing that a lot of agents are starting to take this very seriously and ramping it up. And so what I just kind of wanted to talk about briefly, I mean, we had a really great clinic. It was amazing. And like I said, we're going to try to do it 1 or 2 more times in all of the offices. But I wanted to just maybe for a second talk about the reason that you farm. I had an agent that came to the clinic last week, and they shared with me that they thought that door knocking was like Amway sales, and you just be like, want to buy a house, want to sell a house, want to move, and you're like, or almost like if you guys have ever seen the movie Beetlejuice, the lady that's the realtor that's always knocking on the door and trying to get them to sell their house when they don't want to. They feel like that's what door knocking is. And so what we explained, and part of what farming is, was just reaching out to people and saying, hey, do you want to sell your house, when they didn't necessarily want to. And what we've tried to explain and try to really impart upon the agents that go through this part of the process with us, because once you do your business plan and we identify where you want to work and create your plan, then you get together with First American and they help pull your farming. What we really want to help you identify is, and this has been a challenge for a couple of agents, is really how you're serving your farm and why you're a part of it. What's the reason you chose it? Right. So for most people, the way I help you select your farm is I ask you, do you own a home where you live? If the answer is yes, okay, great. Do you want to farm that area? Do you like living there? If the answer is no, it's kind of the same question. Do you want to own your next home there? If that's where you want to own your next home, or you like living there, then we farm your neighborhood. If not, and that's okay. I've had plenty of agents come to me and say, I don't actually want to farm the neighborhood I live in. As a matter of fact, I never farmed the neighborhood I've lived in until just the last few years, because the price point was too low. And so once prices started to come up, at some point it became worth it for me to do it. But what I learned by doing that, and I shared this with an agent yesterday, what I learned by farming my own neighborhood was that I learned that it's manageable. I learned that I walk by these houses every day already, and it's very easy to service them. It's very easy to service my lease listing down the street, because I walk Wesley past it every single morning. And so every day I get
The
to
mother-in-law casita.
Right. It does. It makes it so much easier. And then of course, there's other parts to that where you're not just bringing in the social media piece of it, or not just bringing in the farming piece of it, but you're bringing in your sphere as well. And so if you don't want to live in the neighborhood where you already live, or you own a home there and you don't like it, then we'd say, where's the next place you want to move to? Let's farm that neighborhood. But what I really want you to think about is, if you could find one specific area, and let's just for argument's sake say it's going to be around the neighborhood where you currently live, you like it, you want to stay there, you just want to get to know those people more. You're already there, you're driving through the neighborhood on a regular basis, you're already their neighbor. You may not have a lot in common, but you have where you live together in common. You have your own community in common. And so I think one of the most important things to really think about is how you're going to ingrain yourself. We talked with Craig, and I know Craig is on the call with us today, and maybe if you want to pop in and share anything, feel free. But we talked a lot about what you do to become a part of the community. And I'm just going to brag on Craig a little bit, because yesterday he became a part of the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce and hosted an event in our office. And Craig, how many people did you have there?
I think we had about 30, close to 30.
He had somebody come donate succulents. So every person got to leave with their own personal succulents. There was coffee, there was donuts, there was all kinds of great stuff. And he had everybody there in the office, and it was super lively. And in all honesty, I feel like when Craig does those events, he becomes like the mayor of El Paseo, right? Like everybody knows who he is. They know where his office is. They know the brand that he's associated with. He has several events in and around El Paseo, but every time there's something going on there, Craig's there. He's on the street, and he's not necessarily at the office. Like, he's not always just doing floor time at the office. A lot of time he's out in the event, whether it's Paint El Paseo Pink and he's walking up and down the street, or when they're doing the Christmas tree lighting and he's just there, he's actually a part of the community. And so I really want you guys to think about that for yourselves, for what area you would farm when you're trying to decide where you want to farm. I think, you know, maybe Craig, you could share a little bit with us about like what made you decide that South Palm Desert and El Paseo was kind of the area that you wanted to be around.
Well, it's easy. I love it there. It's
Yeah.
it's the Rodeo Drive of the desert. So appealing. It's really, I resonate because I'm from Orange County. So it reminds me of where I grew up, but a lot nicer and cleaner and less crowded. So I just love El Paseo. Yeah, and I love that street. I just did a reel today on Tommy Bahama Home Store. So if you go to my page, I just did a little video on their new home store, and I already got a bunch of people going, wow, I didn't even know about it. So, there's an idea if you're farming an area, just do videos on new stores opening up in that neighborhood, especially a furniture store, which ties in with what we do.
Yep.
So,
I think that's a really great point that, you honestly, every time something comes up on El Paseo, Craig's the first one to be there. And you find ways to, okay, this is the key. The part that really makes you a part of the community is that you are promoting other people in the community and not yourself.
Lifestyle.
And all of this stuff, yes. And
True.
you know what, Josh, you just hit the nail on the head. That's 100% what it is.
It's my buzzword. I literally have it tattooed somewhere across my head, like lifestyle. Craig lives this lifestyle of being a community pillar. He goes to all the charity events. He brings a herd of people to charity events, and he truly does live the lifestyle that is representative of El Paseo and Palm Desert, and even Palm Springs when he's here with us at events. So
yeah, you just hit the nail on the
he's
head.
kind of like the jack of all.
And when I do post stuff on social media, I always tag other businesses, so they'll share it on their pages. That's important to do when you're doing your social media. Always include the business or the people that were there, because you want them to share your information.
Yeah. And I think back to when, was it LinkedIn that used to do, they would make you the mayor of the air, like if you checked in, I can't remember what app it was, but I think it was LinkedIn, like you would become the mayor of your city or the mayor of Starbucks or the mayor of whatever. And that's what really makes me think about that, is like you do it so naturally. And I know it's hard for Craig. Every time I put him on the spot like this, he's like, I don't know what I do. And it's because it is genuine. It's not like he's having to sit and create a plan, because Craig just goes, he wants to go play pool. Guess what? Justin Bieber just happens to be right there. Like,
oh my God, that post has blown up. I think I've got over 800 or 900 likes.
I just gotta tell you, I'm so mad I wasn't with you. Beer Hunter is like my favorite place in the world, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
My likes, I've on Instagram, I've got at least 100 people requesting to like my page just in the last 24 hours.
And that is going to blow up all the other stuff you've been doing with the wine and design and all of that. I mean, you guys know about all the events that Craig does. He's the master of that. And it doesn't mean you guys have to go out and do events. You know what I mean? Craig has this personality, and he's also been in the entertainment industry, and that part comes so naturally to him. He's so comfortable in front of a camera. And if you're not, that's okay. There's other ways to do this. And that's kind of where Josh and even I can help a little bit. And especially the girls at First American can help you with pulling together all those lifestyle pieces, right? And what does that look like for you? We just had this conversation with another agent who wanted to farm a neighborhood he does not live in. He doesn't have a home there. He's never owned a home there. He thinks it's nice, but he doesn't necessarily want to buy his next house there. And so we're like, what's the reason that you're knocking on these people's doors? Like, how are you connected to this neighborhood, and how are you going to connect yourself? I mean, can you just go advertise at the elementary school and put your name on a banner? Yeah, but if you have no kids there, how are you connected to that, right? Like, it doesn't mean it's weird. It just means like, what's the connection? Like, what are you doing to make yourself a genuine part of that community? And so if you guys are struggling with that, or even struggling with choosing the community that you feel like you want to farm, we can help you with that. Josh and First American and we can all sit down and help you with it. And if you're looking for ideas on some things that you might do to some events or how to put things together, I know Craig is he's like my #1 advocate for happy to share what he does and how he does it.
Happy to share all the time. And
right?
I think Stefan and I are having coffee in the next week or so. And Yeah, if
Yay.
anybody has questions or wants to sit down. I mean, I love collaborating with other people and supporting and helping other people because it just makes us all better and grow. And, you
Right.
know, we all feed off each other, and that's why we're here. We're a team.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, he'll bring Justin Bieber to your next event. So
Oh my God, I'm going to put him on every real estate post I do from now on.
seriously, I know we just need to like get Josh to Photoshop him into everything you do. As a matter of fact, I think that's the challenge now. I am going to expect on every piece of collateral, you hide a Justin Bieber somewhere.
Like everyone was doing with the Bernie Sanders with the mittens sitting.
Oh my
That I
God.
did at the El Paseo office where he was sitting in the chair.
I want Justin Bieber looking out the window of the next just listed postcard you do.
Hey, you know, something kind of funny too. He keeps mentioning the mayor. Ironically, my father was the mayor of the city we grew up in, and that's how I learned to get involved with the community. Is because his example. He was always involved in the community. He started all the sporting leagues in the whole city, and so I just by his example, I really got involved in my community. So I have to thank my father for that. God
Oh
rest
my
his soul.
goodness. Wow.
It's funny that my friends nicknamed me the nighttime mayor because when I was back and doing radio and TV, every time I go out, people recognize me. They say, "Man, you're the mayor of this town." So they started calling me the mayor, and that's funny you would use that term because it kind of goes back a little bit of history there for me.
We're gonna get you a sash and a hat.
Yeah.
Right? I need to get a shirt. I'm the mayor.
The
Oh,
mayor
you
of El
should.
Paseo. All right. Yep. I think
There we go.
that's your birthday present this year.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Let's see. Does anybody have any wants or needs? I know we've got some business coming up. Anybody have any listings coming up they want to share, or any buyers that you're looking for that you have any challenges with? I actually would like to share one off the top. I have a client. There was actually 2 walk-ins that came in a couple weeks ago that were walked in on a Friday and had some questions for me. They're not here now, and we're just kind of cultivating them for the moment. But they both said one of them is very interested in a dog-centric community. So not just dog-friendly, but they want something a little more like it's like activities revolving around dogs. And the only subdivision that came to mind for me was Heritage Palms, because I know in Heritage Palms they have little greenbelt areas, and some of them are designated for dog parks, and at certain times of the day everybody comes out together and it's like a social hour. That's the only one I know of, and I just know of that because my mom lived there, and I don't even know how active it is. I'm sure it still is, but I'm not sure. So I wanted to ask if you guys know of any communities that you would think of as not just being dog friendly but dog centric, where there's lots of people that are doing activities around their dogs. Do you have any?
I hate that app, but look on Nextdoor.
All right. Yeah,
And
I was trying to
also-
avoid that.
Just do like a search. I think you can do a search on there. So just do a search for dog park communities,
Okay.
and then just identify them and get out.
Also Asina has a lot of dog parks, and they actually have like puppy play times and things like that in there.
Okay. Oh, good to know. You know, we did actually talk about Asina because they were thinking one of them was thinking his wife might be here alone a little bit, and he was more comfortable with her in a gated community. But they thought they would probably go east end of the valley more likely than I mean, really, if they were going to go Palm Springs, I told them Asina would probably be the only one that I think you would maybe think of. But yeah, I appreciate that. If you guys come up with any others, I will do that search and then I'll get the hell out of Nextdoor. But if you guys come up with any others, or if you come across any communities where you just see people out doing dog parky kind of stuff, please shoot it my way. Let me know so I can just kind of point them in the right direction. All right. Anybody else have any wants or needs or anything else they want to share? All right. Well, you know, my favorite thing to do on a Friday is give you 20 minutes of your life back. So we'll do that today. You guys all have an amazing weekend. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for investing a little time in your business. And we're here all weekend. If you guys need anything, reach out.
Thanks, Deb.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.